Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Producer's Desk. I'm Anna Zielinski. So I get this question a lot, which is, what does a producer do? And that's a great question, but what I really should be asked is, what kind of producer are you? So let's take a second here. I want you to think about when you're watching a movie and you see the opening credits or you see the end credits and you see this list of producer cards that pop up, and you see executive producer, you see producers, you see produced by, associate producer, co-producer, executive in charge, right? You've seen all these titles, and you're probably wondering, now what do all these people do? That is the real question, is what kind of producer are you? And that's what I'm going to jump into today with you to clarify what those roles are. And it gives you perspective as to what kind of producer you may want to be. Now, in the lower indie budget world, we do have executive producers. So we can start there. An executive producer is really the financier. That's the person that may not do day-to-day duties, but they will definitely, they really like the story. They want to invest in the movie. Here's the money, go. So on a bigger scale, though, these are veterans of the industry. In these bigger budget movies, you're going to need someone like that to greenlight your project. Sometimes actors come on. You'll see under an executive producer card, you might see Hugh Jackman or Ryan Reynolds. And that means their attachment to this has value, and that they are also, it takes a lot to get movies greenlit, believe it or not. It really does. So even with bigger stars like that, all the stars have to line up, no pun intended. So that title can go to not only money, but also clout. So after that, we have producer, and that's the hat I proudly wear. So I've been doing this now, like I told you guys in my intro, going on 15 years. And we're going to talk about another producer, because I didn't start off as a producer. I started off as a line producer. And again, I come back to, in our indie world, in the world that, we're talking about movie making, sometimes you will wear both hats, right? You don't have enough money to pay for each role, but the producer. So this is the person that puts this all together. You've got the money from the EP, you've got the script, you've pulled this together. You're going to hire all your key people, your director, your cinematographer, and then you're also the person that really keeps everything running from beginning to end. You troubleshoot things. You're the one that creatively can also be overseeing the project. Sometimes there's multiple producers that will function in different lanes. And like I said, more in the indie world, we wear that hat too. We're keeping the integrity of the script. We are making sure that our budget stays intact when we're working with that line producer. So it's a really important job. It's the one I love the most, because I've also directed, I've acted, so I've done it all. And I always find that I love this role of just putting amazing, talented people together to make this project happen. So you want to keep that in mind, because, hey, that could be the role for you. It's a lot of work. But I do want to bring up how this is credited, because this is another one. Like I said at the beginning, you'll sometimes see producers and you'll see a list of names, and then you'll see produced by. And that is a very special title, because that person, when you see that person on the screen, you know that they're the one that's been putting all the blood, sweat, and tears in, all the 16-hour days. And I love that we have that distinction, because it's really important, and not discrediting what the producers do, because everyone brings a little something to the project. But that produced by credit is very special, because those people are in it from beginning to end, in the trenches with the crew, up at 5 a.m., done at 9, and you do it again for 30 days. Well, who am I kidding? It's like 15 days or 20 days the way we shoot films. So, yes, so I think that's a neat distinction that you should know, and now you'll know it when you see this. You go, oh, okay, that person really did that. One of my favorite movies, Maverick, Tom Cruise, he took that producer by credit. And, he put in that time. You just know him, right? He's just hands-on. So, you'll take note when you see other actors take that credit, because then they just didn't come on and show up and do their amazing job as an actor. They also were hands-on in picking locations, wardrobe. They're working with the crew and working with everybody to make this happen. Okay, so the next producer title is co-producer. And just like it sounds, it's an additional producer, works alongside the main producer to help kind of take some of the workload off. And that can be anything from, helping managing different departments, maybe specifically working with art department on something like a specific set build where you need those extra eyes to make sure that creative is executed just right. So in my world, again, when we're dealing with limited budgets, if I'm under $2 million, more than likely I won't have this role. I will just be that lead producer and then rely on my production team. But as the film gets bigger, you're going to want to add those people, and they're invaluable. Okay, next you have the associate producer. And this one's a great one for an entry-level producer. Like if I had someone who just got out of film school and really wants to get their feet wet, I'll put someone in this position. And again, you're just delegating things that you need along the way to help you. And, it's just a great space to learn. And then sometimes you may have people who come in that aren't necessarily out of film school. They just want some experience, and it could be, the executive producer's cousin. You can use that title too. Like, let's get real. So sometimes you're having to balance your financing and people who want to be in the movie or want to produce. This is a great spot to put them in. So they're getting the producer credit, but not quite up there with, you're not putting them under a producer card. So I've also done that. So it's a great entry-level title. Okay, so our next one is line producer. All right, so this is where I started. I told you guys I have an accounting degree. And yes, I acted, and yes, I came here, and I was pursuing the dream with an accounting degree. Like, I literally graduated and was like, hey, I'm going to go to LA. I had to pursue the dream. So if you have that itch, you do it, okay? And even if you got that degree, it'll come back around for you. Like this, okay? So line producing, that is all numbers. So when you're the line producer, you have created the budget for this movie, and now you are monitoring every line. And I have other videos that you will see when we get into this. I have a one about budgeting, so you'll understand what I mean by lines. But just kind of like how it sounds, every item has a line on this budget, and that's how you stay in check. You need a roadmap when it comes to money. Don't wing it, because if you wing it, you'll be very disappointed at the end, because 9 times out of 10, you're not hitting your mark, you're spending more, okay? I don't know why I went into the next, then it just made me feel like I should. So my accounting degree helped in this, because this just came natural, budgeting and that sort. And I really loved it, and it's a great training ground too. Now, it's not for everybody. It's very intense. You're not really on set a lot. You're in the trailer, sitting here working numbers, and you're alongside your key accountant, and you're just making sure everything's staying on track. But such an invaluable position. I'm always in alignment with my line producer. If it's not me, like I said, if it's lower budget, I'm doing it. We get above the 2 million mark, then I do have somebody else. And we're side by side checking those things. And if you're doing short shoots, it's kind of hard, because you're trying to get those costs in and in the books, and then so that you can generate these reports to see how you're doing. But if you find a really good line producer, hang on to him or her. It's a hard position to fill, but once you do, it's invaluable. Okie dokie. So moving on. Production manager. So yes, there's not a producer title to this, but they're right under the line producer. And on union shows, there's something called a UPM, unit production manager. And this is another, very important position because they're alongside the line producer as well. So now you have the roadmap, you have the numbers, you have the crew, you have exactly what everything costs or should cost and what crew should be paid. Well, you need to have someone execute this. And that's what the production manager does alongside with the line producer. Very important. So they take that Rolodex and they're out there and they're offering the crew the rates and negotiating the rates. Again, if it's lower budget, I've kind of assumed that position before, so I'll be the line producer and the production manager into one, and then I will have like a production coordinator, assistant production coordinator working under me. Then they're executing all the logistical things for productions, right? Everything from securing the catering to camera and electric, sending out all the paperwork and everything that needs to be done to get everything paid and everything, going and booked. So it's a very even more detailed position. So if you're really into getting your hands in there and you love talking to the vendors, you love talking to the crew, this is a great position to be in. And you get to work in alignment with the line producer, so it gives you a little bit of an idea of what they do. So if that's something you want to transition to, you can, or you can stay in that space because it is a must-have position and a great training ground to move up the food chain as a producer. Okay, and so the very last one we have is called an executive in charge. Now, you've probably seen this more on bigger shows, on TV, and this is when this person's really like the liaison between the studio and the production company, and they are maintaining, checks and balances when it comes to the financials between the two entities. For us in the indie world, I've never really had to work with one. Even when I worked with the studios, I really liaised. I made sure that I had a handle of the cost report and I could just relay the numbers and just make sure and do the check-ins to make sure everything was tracking on budget. And then if I needed something, if there was an overage, then I would definitely prepare my numbers and the who, what, when, where, why, because when you have an ass studio for more money, it's scary. But doable. I successfully did this. But like in the indie world, like when you already have the investor come in and it's just the production company working with the EP, it's just the producers that will be that liaison with the EPs, making sure, hey, we're spending your money wisely. You will have a movie at the end of this shoot. So I hope this video was very helpful for you, just giving you a big picture about what producers do, who they are, what the types of people they are, and where you can fit in that. And as always, please hit that subscribe button. I've got more great videos coming to you about the world of producing straight from this producer's desk. And always remember, together we create.